Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me as always, fresh off his top 10 finish at the Waste Mangement Phoenix Open, PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up, everyone? Last recap of the year. Football season's now over, but now we get to talk about it.
Yeah, got another fun episode. A lot of opinion-based stuff. Super Bowl talk. Got a lot of stuff to get into. Before we do, though, we're gonna get into the Waste Management Phoenix Open just because we talked about it last week with Andrew a little bit. So we on the PGA Tour, Waste Management Phoenix Open is one of the biggest events of the year, kind of the closest thing you guys get to like a Super Bowl atmosphere. Um, and you had one of your best tournaments going, leading after Friday. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was playing really well. Just came out super hot, and on Thursday we had some weather delays, stuff like that. But only ended up playing 9 holes, but shot 5 under on the night I played. Just came out super hot, and got very lucky with the wave I was in. The guys that were early late very much got screwed over by the weather, and I caught the good side of that and took advantage. Got off to a good hot start, got in the last group, and then had a nice finish up in the third round, and then just never really got anything going. Didn't really have many birdie looks. Never quite kind of got it going that final round, but good birdie in the last to get the top 10.
Yeah, so because of the weather, like you were saying, from the time you finished your round on Friday to the time you teed off on Saturday was probably pretty close to 24 hours.
Yeah, we
So
played.
what did you do with your time?
Yeah, well, I played 27 holes on Friday, so I was pretty tired. So I definitely slept in Saturday, it was good to get that rest. Um, and then we headed out there, and honestly, it was Saturday was the craziest day there by far, as far as the fans too. I only experienced 7 holes of it, but it was an absolute madhouse, man. It's that was a level of chaos I've never seen on a golf course before. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
so the crowds were wild. They had to shut down alcohol sales at the golf
Mhm.
tournament. I don't know if they've ever had to do that at a golf tournament before. Um,
That happened. That happened so early. We hadn't even teed off yet. I was the last group. They
so you're
shut down
telling me at
alcohol
like
sales.
12 p.m. on Saturday they shut like probably like by
Yes,
2 p.m. it was probably shut off then.
it was. Yeah, it was. I think it was because they stopped letting people in like around 1:30 or 2, and like that was the same time they stopped selling alcohol. That was like, I guess the fire marshals called that one in,
Yeah, so I
because it
mean
was like so out of
there
control.
was a couple guys out there, we won't say names, that had some play issues with some fans this week.
Yeah.
What was the wildest thing you saw or heard this week, if you can even say it?
I mean, it was so many things. Like there wasn't one singular wildest, but the sheer amount of people just walking around the place, completely covered in mud because they had just fallen everywhere. Like you couldn't. Like every hole, you were going to just see somebody that like one side of them was just covered in mud. There was volunteers, like just the fact that I didn't see any players take any falls this week was pretty good. I'm sure some caddies probably did, like not with spikes, but man, it was tough. It was so muddy like that. Um, but yeah, that was definitely one I will not be forgetting anytime soon. I think I definitely benefited with it being my first time though, because I didn't know what to expect Saturday. Like Saturday's
Right.
always the craziest day, but I had no expectation, so I kind of went in with the fact like anything goes. Like whatever happens, happens. Like that's how it is. Like you got to be prepared for like craziness. And so like everything was going on, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess that's how it is here.
Yeah.
And then like it was only after the round when I was talking to some guys and they were like, "What happened this year? Like, why was it way worse than usual?" And I was like, "Oh,
You
I
thought
had
that
no
was
idea."
normal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Pretty
maybe
crazy
a little
event, and you're
advantage
probably
there.
looking forward to it next year.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. Maybe maybe not every week of the year, but
Right.
for one week, yeah, we can have a little fun.
Yeah. Well, it was nice to see you on TV. Got a lot of TV coverage. Yeah, great week of golf. Keep it going.
Yeah,
We'll
appreciate
get
it.
into the football now. Forgot to mention it, but don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes have been coming out every Wednesday at 8 a.m. But this is our recap episode, so we are going to take a little break after this episode, until about combine draft time, but we'll talk about that later. So, Super Bowl talk. Chiefs win 25-22. Um, I mean, to be honest, nothing about this game really surprised me. We both said that this was going to be a low scoring affair. We both liked the Chiefs, and that's exactly how it turned out. Now, I will say, I believe the 49ers were definitely the better team, and Purdy did play significantly better than I expected him to. But Mahomes and Andy Reid are special, and it's just hard to beat. I mean, when you look at the 49ers and who to blame, I mean, like you look down the list and it's just like you're trying to blame someone and you can't really. It's just like what it comes down to is like Mahomes did Mahomes things, and that's why he's got three Super Bowls in 7 years. Give me your overall thoughts of the game, and then we'll break it down in like a chronological order of what
Yeah,
happened.
I think bottom line, I think that's why we both picked the Chiefs because the best player in the world right now plays for that team. And when it comes down to it, when it came down to overtime and you needed your quarterback to drive you down and get you not a field goal, but a touchdown, he was the one to get it done. I thought both teams played pretty good football. Both teams came out pretty. Um, I think you could see like the nerves early. There was a bunch of fumbles early, McCaffrey fumbling, Pacheco fumbling, like, guys that usually are pretty secure with the football. There was some kind of jitters there, but once the scoring got going, the offenses were pretty efficient, I thought, in moving the ball. Um, I thought some pretty good football was played, and yeah, it was an exciting game. They used up the entire overtime, and yeah, it was a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nerves at the start were definitely in play. I mean, McCaffrey had a fumble and Pacheco had a fumble. Pacheco, that was his only fumble on the year, and McCaffrey, that was his second fumble on the year. So these guys don't fumble the ball, and they both had one. So definitely took them a minute to get into the game, get it rolling. But once everything got going, the 49ers were up 10-0. And that is where the Chiefs are completely comfortable. They're used to that position. When they're down 10, they come back and they win. In fact, Mahomes wins 83% of the time when he's down 10 plus points. It's a crazy stat. Him and Brady are really the only two ones to be able to like do stuff like that in the playoffs. When down 10 plus points, Mahomes is now 3-1. Brady is 2-1. The rest of the league, when down 10 plus points in the playoffs, is 2-48. That's why those guys are superstars and the rest of the league are Jags.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Um, you know, they can win it from ahead, but they can also win from behind. We've talked about it with some of the other quarterbacks this year through the regular season. We talked about it with Purdy and Dak, and Tua, like the inability to come from behind if that does happen to you in the playoffs. And you know, Dallas got behind in the playoffs, got knocked out. San Fran actually did have a great comeback once, but um, they got beat by a better quarterback this week. So, uh, I thought the big turning point was I thought going into half, once they were up 10-0, Chiefs came down. I thought they were about to score a touchdown right before half,
Any
and
type of
then they were
points,
going to kind of.
honestly, I was like, if they get any points here, they're fine because they're receiving the second half. And
I thought
that's
for sure it
exactly
was going to be a touchdown though, and
right.
when San Fran stopped them, I was like, man, this is going to be a big first possession of the second half. Mahomes goes out and throws that pick. I thought that was the point that San Fran had to take over the game. They went quick 3-and-out and gave it right back to the Chiefs, and that was kind of the moment they really needed to take advantage and stretch it to like back to a two-score game. They didn't.
Absolutely.
There was a
Yeah.
little back and forth, and they never really took advantage of a situation where they really could have started kind of like putting some emphasis on that being their game.
Yeah, I have it here. 49ers could not capitalize with touchdowns. After
Mhm.
that pick, they really needed to get a touchdown. They just kept getting field goals. When you're playing
Yeah.
Mahomes, like field goals are not going to get it done. You said that was the changing point. The changing point for me was 2 minutes in the third quarter. 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Kansas City punched the ball and it hits the Kansas City player's foot and they muffed it. They get the ball back on like whatever it was, the 10-yard line there.
Yeah.
When that happened,
Yeah.
I was like, this is, I mean, close game. I just like the Chiefs in this scenario. So I thought
Yeah.
that was like the real turning point in this game.
Hmm.
Going into the game though, people said Kansas City had the advantage on special teams and it showed up like big time. Um, with that punt right there. and then also the missed PAT. That missed PAT in the second half by the 49ers was
Mhm.
massive. If they make that extra point, there's a good chance that they win that game.
Yeah. I believe that one was blocked. Yes.
It was
I was.
blocked. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Moody just kind of hit like a line drive and just it was like
Yeah.
too low.
We we were coming back from dinner. They had just scored, and so I was like, "Quick, like let's hop in the car. Let's get from the restaurant, get back to the thing." And then I checked later. I was like, "Wait a minute, what happened on the extra point?"
What
Um,
point? So
but
when did you finish your round, and when could you start watching? Because you probably were still playing as the game started, correct?
yeah, so it was 3-0 when we finished. So it was like I think it was like early second quarter. It had to have been like right after they kicked that field goal,
All right, so you got most
and
of it.
then
Yeah.
I think by the time we got to dinner, it was maybe I don't think San Fran had scored yet. I think it was still 3-0, and then they like soon after they scored, and then I saw that bit, saw halftime, and then
Nice.
saw when they scored, and then got back and watched the rest. So I had to go back and catch the first kind of little bit. That's what I think both like right when I started watching, both teams had kind of settled in, and the back and forth had started. When I went back and watched, I really like, especially from like the end of the game where I thought both teams were executing like pretty well. That you like the nerves were super noticeable when I went back and kind of caught that first bit.
Yeah. So let's talk about Spagnola a little bit. He was pressuring Purdy a lot in that second half. Purdy only went 3 for 12 on third down in this game. Big reason why the 49ers
Mhm.
didn't come away with a win. What do you think of Steve Spagnuolo? Is he going to get, a head coaching job here soon, or is he going to be sticking with the Chiefs for a while? Because what he's doing with the defense with a young group,
Yeah,
I mean, he's definitely going to be there next year, but he's doing some crazy good things with the defenses.
yeah.
Shutting down a 49ers team to what is it? They had Purdy had one touchdown pass, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because Jennings had the other one.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, Spags, he's so good, man. He's so good. What he's done with this Chiefs defense has been super super impressive. I think without a doubt, like it's not really arguable. I think he's one of the best DCs, if not maybe the best DC in the NFL right now. With what he's done, I don't know if he'll get a head coaching look. We've kind of touched on it in the past, like or not in the past, but like recently we've been talking about not many defensive coaches are getting as many head coaching opportunities now. It seems that a lot of teams are going the offensive head
It
coach
seems
route.
like that, but it's not true. Like we had eight vacancies this year. Five of them went to DC defensive coaches. So I mean, like,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. So it feels like teams are going to young offensive guys, which is what some got teams are doing. But when you look around it, like Dan Quinn's,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's see, Mayo, like when you just go through the list, like five out of the
hmm
eight were defensive.
McDonald. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's the case, like I think you could see a team go that way. It is kind of a weird spot though. I think right now there's a bit of a surplus. Like the fact that Belichick didn't get a job, the fact that Vrabel's still like outside looking at like there's a bit of like a surplus of coaches at the moment. But we know how fast the NFL turns him over. If he keeps putting out defenses like this, I would not be surprised to see somebody give him a shot somewhere. Um, it really has been impressive, especially in this playoff run. The offenses that they had to play against and the offenses that his defense just flat out shut down and really limited. It really was impressive.
yeah, limited Miami, shut down
hmm
Buffalo, shut down Lamar,
Baltimore,
and then
yeah.
just 49ers. That's an insane
I
stretch
mean that
of football that
that
they
is
just
a
played,
gauntlet of
and
offenses
only
right
one
there.
of them was a home game. So,
hmm
yeah, good stuff there on the defense by him. Let's get into OT. So, a bit of a controversy here today, just on all the talk shows about the overtime. So, they changed the rules this year. So, both teams get the ball regardless of the score. The
hmm
49ers win the toss and choose to take the ball. Was
Yeah.
this a dumb play by the 49ers? Shanahan
So
explained it as if they both score a touchdown, they are now with the advantage as it is next score wins,
yeah,
but they didn't get there.
I get that. I think that argument combined with the fact that their defense had just been on the field makes it a little bit like reasonable, I guess. But
I don't
I
want to
still
hear
think,
the defense excuse. It's the Super Bowls.
yeah,
You have 7 months till your next game.
I
Play.
still, if I'm in the position, I'm letting my offense go out second because there is such an advantage. Like if you go,
You're playing 3
you
down
know,
versus 4
say you
down
get one
football.
first
It's
down,
just
exactly. That's the thing. Like if you know the other team scored and all of a sudden you have 4th and 2 at your own 38-yard line, like you're going for it. But and you're going, because you have to. I think that's the same thing with college overtime in the sense like you choose second because you want to know what you have to do because it gives you more freedom within your play calling. Um,
it just
like
felt to me
when
like
you have to go for it.
so after the game, a lot of the 49ers players said we did not know the overtime
Yeah.
rules.
Well,
And some
and
people
I
are
don't
like,
think
you know
that's
what?
relevant.
Some people are like, it wouldn't have changed the outcome,
Yeah.
blah, 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 which I get. But when you put it like this, that the Chiefs players knew the overtime rules, all of them knew. And
Yeah.
then they run that play at the end that they call corn dog. They ran that
Yeah.
twice last year in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed like the Chiefs were 1 or 2% more prepared for
Yeah.
situational late football than the 49ers were. And that's why.
Yeah. I don't know why that whole thing with the 49ers players saying they didn't realize the rules change. Like, I don't understand how that's relevant anyway, because they kicked a field goal, regardless if it's the new rules or not. The only thing that could maybe affect, I guess, is them looking at the clock and being like, "Oh, the clock's running out," because in the regular season, clock's relevant. But that's
Yeah,
a
but
10-minute clock versus a 15 minute. So
I heard this today. Okay. One of the talking heads said, yeah, but can you imagine if the 49ers scored a touchdown and the players ran onto the field thinking they
oh,
won the
that would have
game?
been, yeah,
And then you
that would have
get,
been bad.
yeah.
Yes,
And I was like thinking that would have been hilarious and bad. Uh,
yes, yeah. Or
um, but
the
yeah,
confetti guy didn't know the rules either, and he launches the confetti with the players running on the field. They got
that
to
would be
clean it
like a
all up.
Doug Flutie band on the field moment
Oh,
almost. But yeah, so
that was California
McCole
and
Hardman
Stanford that they
catches
tried.
the game winning touchdown. He started this year on the Jets and came back to
Yeah,
the Chiefs. So big big win for
yeah,
him, big win for the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs were just a little bit more prepared, had a little bit more
yeah.
experience, and
I,
that's why it
I
got
agree.
done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When it came down to the end of the game when it mattered, they were the ones that executed at the highest level.
Yep. All right, let's get into the gambling. We've had a great year with this game. Andrew and I both took the under 47 and a half. That hit. It hit
Not
47.
even close, baby. Not even close.
We took Chiefs +2, which hit. We honestly should have taken Chiefs money line. I don't know why we
Yeah,
took the +2, but uh
it doesn't matter.
hit anyway. So for the playoffs, Andrew had a record of 7-6, and I had a record of 10-3. On the year, Andrew went 31, 26-1. That is a 53.4%. I went 42 and 29 for a 59%. Honestly, both those are pretty good profiting. Full year of bets on the spread. So winning money on the podcast. All right, let's get into our prop bets from the Super Bowl. So last week we had some PGA Tour players give their prop bets, and I'm not gonna lie, probably should
Not good.
never listen to these guys again on prop bets. It was terrible.
No.
No, Andrew was the
One
only
guy knew
one
what he
that
was talking
really
about. One guy knew what he
Andrew,
was talking about.
the guy that does the podcast, knew what he was
Give me
talking
that
about.
Gatorade, baby. Come on.
So we'll go through it. So we'll start off with that. Andrew said purple Gatorade +200. Bet it. I listened to him. That hit.
Follow the logo.
Yep. Grayson Sig. He had red Gatorade. That was a miss. Patton Kazire. He had Bieber showing up at the halftime show. Miss. Ben Cole's on the coin toss. Tails. Was that a hit or a miss? I believe it was a miss.
Yeah.
Will Gordon, first missed field goal. Doink. Miss. Justin Lauer, first touchdown. Kelsey. Miss. Harris English. Pacheco over. Miss. Nick Hardy. Pacheco over. Miss. But Hardy did like the under. So we'll give that to him there.
Yeah.
Not great on the prop bets for them. I will say though, for the Super Bowl, I had one of my Best betting days I've ever had in my entire life. I'm just gonna go through it real quick. Uh, Butker over 1.5 field goal hit. Exact winning margin 3 points hit. Purdy touchdown passes 2 miss. Uh, Purdy over half an interception miss. Score 41 to 50 points hit. Purple Gatorade hit. CMC anytime touchdown hit. Mahomes longest rush over 12 yards hit. Pacheco over miss. Uh, and then I let my girlfriend bet one bet. She said I think the Chiefs are going to score last, and they did. So that
Way
hit.
to go.
Yeah, so good hit for her. And then MVS Marquez Valdez Scantling over 19.5 yards hit. I was watching
Tried to mess that
Undisputed.
up with that negative test.
I know.
Whatever reason we ran backwards like 10 yards. But
He got 20 yards, so got over his number by half a yard.
yeah.
All right, quick story, real quick. So I was watching Undisputed today, and MVS was on their show. He was wearing a purple and red bedazzled chain. It looked like it was crazy expensive. It had Super Bowl champions on it, and Shannon Sharp was like, "Man, it's Tuesday. How'd you get that so fast?" And he was like, "I bought this before we won the Super Bowl." He was like, "You knew you were going to win the Super Bowl?" He said, "Yep." Looks like the man bought $100,000 chain saying Super Bowl champions before they even won. So that's pretty funny. Pretty confident. I like it actually.
Unbelievable. That's some confidence.
Yep. All right. Let's get into our we got some good football topics here, some questions. So what do the 49ers need to do in the offseason? Their only big free agents are Chase Young and Juwan Jennings, who had a great game. I think right now they must be the favorite for the Super Bowl next year. What do you think they should do this offseason?
Yeah. After this Super Bowl and after watching, you know, how poorly he was replaced, I think their number one priority is getting Dre Greenlaw healthy. Um,
Weird injury, just
I,
non-contact injury. That was
yeah, it was very much. I saw the highlight of it, very much like the Jalen Phillips, the Dolphins defensive ends injury. Just a loading sort of Achilles snap. Really tough. I mean, such a fluke like thing, but really tough, especially in the situation. Like, he wanted to play so bad and help his team. And honestly, if he doesn't get hurt very easily, they could have won this football game. He's been playing unreal football. And this defense needs him. So, in my opinion, just getting him healthy, getting him back to where he was at, is probably their biggest priority. And then you touch on Chase Young, and I do have Kinlaw as well,
okay.
free agent. They've got some decisions on that defensive line that they have to make, as far as which directions they want to go, how much money they want to spend. I think keeping Chase Young, as long as he's not asking for ridiculous, it is like a very big. There's a lot of defensive ends, a lot of rush ends that are going to be hitting free agency this year. So they do have decisions there, but they need to sort that out. Also, it kind of came out today, but there's been a whole kind of drama with Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
He's got his brother putting stuff out on social media, and obviously there's frustration with losing the game, and he didn't get the ball a whole lot.
Yeah, he had 3
Um,
catches for 49 yards, and Pro Football Focus had him ranked out as the number 2 wide receiver in the NFL this year. So,
yeah,
yeah, he was not happy.
he had an unbelievable year. I think he's a fantastic player. He does a lot for this offense. You hear a lot about CMC, Debo, George Kittle, but he is absolutely every bit as important to this offense. And they need to get that cleaned up, and smooth that over, because they need him next year. Because he is an elite wide receiver, and they need to hold on to him. And then
Uh,
kind of the last thing I had, I got one more thing. They backup quarterback situation. They need to decide whether they're keeping kind of Sam Darnold or not, or if they're just going to go a different route. But that's kind of minor. But there's really not a whole lot of question marks that I was seeing.
yeah, I agree. Let's go to the other side of it. What do the Chiefs need to do in the offseason? They've got a lot more big name free agents than the
Mhm.
49ers do. I'm going to read some of them
Yep.
off. Chris Jones, McCole Hardman, Drew Tranquil, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tommy Townsend, Willie Gay, Jarek McKinnon, and L'Jarius Sneed. The two biggest ones
Mhm.
being Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. Um,
Yeah,
what do you
absolutely.
think that they need to do this offseason?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Chris Jones in a minute, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
spoil
yeah,
there.
save that.
But absolutely, those two major cornerstones of their defense, um, and they've got some decisions to make. I think a lot of it's going to kind of come down to where they want to put their money. Um, but are they willing to pay both? Are they willing to pay one? I don't really see them not paying either. I think at the very least they're keeping one. And then I think going into the draft, I think you got to look at wide receiver,
Right.
maybe free agency as well. But
I would
I think the wide
expect their
receivers,
first pick to be a wide receiver.
I think the wide receivers were enough of a problem this year where you've got to go out and get a playmaker or um, some sort of help from Mahomes there.
Right. All right. So we had a full year of Purdy starting. Where are we officially on him? Did he prove he's good enough to win a Super Bowl? What do you think?
So officially where I am on him is he is a solid quarterback that I think I am in a large agreement with everything Cam Newton's been saying. I think he's a game manager. He does a lot of things to help the team win in the sense that he gets the ball to the right guys at the right times. And it's up to them to try and, go win the football game. As long as he's not turning it over and actively losing the game, this team is going to win a lot of football games. Do I think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl? Yes, I do, because this team was so close to winning it this year. It absolutely could have gone their way. Drake Greenlaw not getting hurt, extra point not getting blocked. There's so many like close plays that just didn't quite go their way. Um, he can do it. Yes, he needs to have a good team around him. They need to, keep these guys together. But I do think Purdy's good enough, especially on the contract that he's currently on, because that gives him so much freedom with the rest of the roster.
Right. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I will say this though, his comparison on numbers to Jimmy G through 27 starts now is eerie similar. They're both 21
Mm-hmm.
and 6. They both have a 67% completion percentage. Purdy averages 248 yards per game. Jimmy G had 246. Purdy's got a little bit better touchdown interception ratio and a little better passer rating. But Purdy has better players than what Jimmy
Yeah.
G was working with. So like you said with the salary, I think Brock Purdy for $1 million is an A quarterback. Like every team would take that. I think
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy for $30 million is a B
Yes.
quarterback. I think Brock Purdy for $45 million plus is a C quarterback. And that's where you start getting into he is Dak Prescott, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's fair because
He might be
Purdy.
he might find himself in an exact situation as Dak
Yeah.
Prescott, being good every year and never getting it done, getting a boatload of money because he wins
Yeah.
games.
Purdy is very much a product of what's around him. If he has great pieces around him, he's going to be, pretty good. He can help kind of show that off. But to do that, yes, he needs a much smaller cap hit so you can kind of go get those guys.
Yep. All right, this is a fun question here. Does it feel worse to be Tyreek Hill or Kadarius Toney? So Tyreek Hill leaves the Chiefs, goes to the Dolphins, gets his bag, but the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls without him. Kadarius Toney is on the Chiefs. I assume he gets a ring. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
but he is
I mean,
not playing and watching his team play and win a Super Bowl. Which one is it worse?
Tyreek's still got a ring. He's got the money. He's got the respect of everyone. Everybody knows he's freak. He's, probably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Um, yeah, Kadarius Toney, that whole situation of him just not playing, him saying he wasn't hurt when maybe he was, but the team said, did they not want him to play at all? I don't know. That's just a whole embarrassing situation. Yeah, he's got 2 rings now, but um, it's not a great look. I don't. really see him being like a huge part of their plans going forward at this point. Like
I
there's
don't
just been
see
too
how
much
he
drama.
can. Yeah, I mean, I don't see
There's
him
been way
be
too much drama at this
right.
point, and the hands are so like. Does he have talent in the sense that he can move in ways that guys normally can't? Yes, but if you can't catch the football, it doesn't really matter. If you can't stop doing bonehead plays, it doesn't really matter. So um, I think I'm taking Tyreek Hill's position at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so it's been announced that Andy Reid is coming back next year. He said it's likely that they'll redo his contract, get an extension. So you got to assume he's going to be there another 2 or 3 years. Where do you see Kelsey doing? How many more years do you think he will play? I want to say he looked older this year, but he proved
For the
that, you know
playoffs.
what? I don't care where, I don't
Yep.
care how the regular season goes. I don't care if I miss 6 or 7 games. Like, the Chiefs should
Mhm.
be okay with, all right, as long as we're in the playoffs, Kelsey's going to perform. So, how many more years do you think he can do this, stay at this level, play with the Chiefs?
I thought Travis looked a little bit disinterested with the regular season this year. At times, he might have been dinged up, playing a little bit hurt, and wasn't really feeling it. But he absolutely turned it on in the playoffs. Like he still has the juice. Like that catch and run on the drag route late in the game. Like dude can still move. He's still got it. Um, I think a large part of him coming back is the allure of this three-peat that they're now kind of pushing as, this is what we're going after. Um, I think if they get that done, I think he retires. And if they don't, I kind of still think he retires. Like I think next year might be his last year.
Okay.
Um, he takes a lot of hits. He catches a lot of balls. Like it's tough. I find it hard to believe. Like maybe it seems like Jason Kelsey might be coming back for another year next year. Maybe they both go out together. After that, we'll see. But uh, I think he's probably getting close to the end. Just the way things have gone, he's had such a successful career. Like other than maybe chasing stat records and stuff, like what else is there to do?
Yep.
He's going to do really well for himself after football.
He's definitely
He's
going to
already shown
be,
his charisma and
yep.
all that stuff. So what more does he need to do?
All right. And then last question here. So Mahomes now has 3 Super Bowls through 7 seasons. Where do you expect Mahomes to finish his career, Super Bowl number wise?
Yeah, this is a super interesting question because there's so many factors. Like, how much longer is he going to have Andy Reid? Can he do it with another coach? Because that's going to be a big thing. I think Mahomes outplays Andy Reid's career.
Well, yeah.
So that's going to be a very interesting talking point for a while. Like, once they move on from Andy Reid, whoever comes in is like, oh, well, was it Mahomes or was it Andy Reid? Can he win without him?
We're going to
I
get the
think that's going to be
Belichick Brady thing,
exactly. I think that's going to be a
a
big
friendlier
thing.
version of it.
Yeah. Um, I have seen reports recently that Mahomes may be looking to take some smaller contract cuts to help, bring in more players to the team. If he starts taking that Brady route, watch out because
Well,
we talked
it's
about it last
there.
week.
He has no reason not to do it. He makes so much money
Yeah,
off the field. If
exactly.
he just cuts $10 million off his contract a year, like
Yeah.
he's not gonna notice that at all. Like
You literally, I think you talked about it literally last week, maybe 2 weeks ago
why
about
Brady
Brady.
won.
That's
Yeah.
why he was so successful. And if Mahomes starts doing things like that, yeah, that I could actually see him like start creeping into that Tom Brady, like, 6, 7, 8 kind of, something like that could actually happen. If he was willing to, make that kind of sacrifice.
Yeah. So 7 seasons, you double that, 14 seasons, he's at six. And then with his style of play, maybe he gets a couple more seasons out, 2, 3 more. So I think he's gonna be right around that 6, 7 mark by the end of it. Yeah.
Impressive.
All right. So this is game time today. We are gonna play the free agency game. We have 6 big name free agents on the market this offseason. I'm gonna give you the name. You're gonna tell me if they're staying, if they're going, where they're going. Uh, just give me your thoughts. So we said this earlier, but we'll start with Chris Jones.
I think the Chiefs prioritize Snead. I think they take Snead, leaves Jones looking elsewhere. I think he ends up with the Houston Texans.
I was thinking that. I like it. I think he stays. I was looking through team needs, and like one of the Chiefs' team needs uh is his position. So like if they get rid of him, like they're gonna have to find somebody else to take over.
I'll explain later, but yes, I do agree. Team, if he leaves, it will be a team need.
But yeah, I think he stays and he chases that three-peat. I mean, they give him more money, but I think it's a team friendly deal, even though he was harder about that earlier in the season. All right. Kirk Cousins, your boy.
I think it is, especially with the Jefferson situation, I think it's in their best interest that the Vikings keep him. I think
Mhm.
Jefferson wants him, and I think Jefferson means enough to the Vikings that they're willing to keep Kirk um, on a deal, make him happy and get that long-term deal done.
I agree. I have him. The only two teams I could see him going to were Patriots and ATL. I don't think the Patriots are going to take him because they got the third pick.
Yep.
And I don't think ATL is going to take him either. So I see him staying in
Mhm.
Minnesota. And this injury honestly doesn't bother me that much. He's not a runaround quarterback. It's not like I think he's going to be pretty similar after his injury to he was before.
Yeah.
All right. Josh Allen on the Jaguars.
So I went back and forth. This was actually the toughest one for me. I am going to put him on the Los Angeles Rams. I think
Hmm.
they had a really good run to the end of the season. I think they're going to kind of be able to use that uh, as a talking point. And I don't think the Rams end up getting Brian Burns. I think the Panthers probably overpay whatever it is for Brian Burns just so they don't look like complete idiots for not taking the trade two off seasons ago and then keeping him and still not getting a deal done. So I think the Panthers probably overpay to make sure they don't look like idiots for doing that. And then the Rams end up getting Josh Allen.
All right. I'm going to go three in a row. Stays on the Jaguars. I just think unfinished business, wants to get it done there with the team, and he stays. This is an interesting one. There's a lot of directions you can go with this. T. Higgins.
I've got Cincinnati tagging him. I think he's staying there. I think he gets the tag now. It's possible you could see a tag and trade, but I think he gets tagged and I think he plays on it.
Okay. I have Dallas picking him up. They need a weapon. And I like them picking him up. The Dallas needs to get another wide receiver, whether
Mhm.
it's through draft or free agency. This is gonna be an interesting one too. Mike Evans.
So this is where I was kind of going back and forth earlier. I think that because the Chiefs prioritize Snead and let Jones walk, they have the cap space to then go get the wide receiver. Mike Evans goes to the Chiefs to be their wide receiver one. Then the Chiefs can turn on their first round pick and look towards fixing the defensive line at the end of the first round um, with whoever they find there.
Tell you what, that'd be crazy if Mike Evans went there.
That would be my big move, I think, of the offseason.
I got Mike Evans going up to Baltimore,
I
playing
like
with
that.
Lamar. Just fits the eye test for me to be honest. And then last one, Saquon Barkley.
This one's kind of been rumored in the press, but I think it makes a ton of sense. I think they let Eckler walk, and I think Saquon ends up with the Chargers playing for Harbaugh.
I agree. I think Harbaugh really needs to get a good running back in there. He's going to push for it. He values
Mm-hmm.
that position more than other coaches do in the league. So I agree.
Yep.
Saquon to the Chargers. That was our free agency game. All right. This is the first time we're doing this year. We'll do it at the end of every year, but this is the Screenplay Podcast Awards. These are our awards, not related to, any other awards that were given out this year, but we're doing our own. So, Offensive Player of the Year.
I got to go Christian McCaffrey. Just an unbelievable year. Um, Touchdown after touchdown, doing it on the ground, doing it through the air. The guy's just a freak. He really is. And he's my offensive player of the year.
I agree. He has had that stretch of games where touchdown in, I don't know, it's like 20 something straight games. It was insane.
Mhm.
Yeah, CMC. Defensive Player of the Year.
I went a little against the. I know it was a close, vote for the NFL awards, but I gave it to TJ Watt. I thought he was the better player this year. Miles Garrett had a great year, but I thought TJ Watt's stats were better. I thought he was the better player this year. He's truly an unbelievable force on the defensive line. So TJ Watt.
I gave it to Deron Bland. He set the pick record, but on top of that, he came in for Trayvon Diggs, and no one expected this out of him. So that's why I gave it to him. All right. Best story of the year.
Kind of went back and forth on this, but I had to go with Joe Flacco. I mean, dude literally came like off his couch and what he was able to do for the Browns. I mean, he was putting up unbelievable numbers. Turned them like, they lost Chubb early in the year. The offense kind of been sputtering, but their defense was carrying and winning games. Then all of a sudden, Flacco comes in and he starts throwing for 350 yards a week and just torching defenses. Like, he's 40 years old and he's just doing this to like some really good defense. It was unbelievable to watch. So I'm going Joe Flacco.
I like it. My story of the year is Josh Dobbs. Just, no one expected for him to play well in Arizona, and he did. And then for him to transfer overnight to the Vikings and then come out and win games with O'Connell. We haven't seen that really ever. Just overnight, learn the playbook, get it down, win games. So Josh Dobbs for me, story of the year. All right, this is the most boneheaded story of the year.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased on this, but pretty much everything the Panthers did for the last reasonable while. You can blame David Tepper for a lot of this, but drafting Bryce Young over CJ Stroud is just looking like a horrible, horrible decision. Dude just caught throwing his drink on a fan in the second to last game in the middle of not scoring a point for 2 straight weeks. Like, just so stupid. Like, there are some serious problems with this organization, and it's really disappointing being a fan because there's just no end in sight at this point.
All right, I'm gonna go with Arthur Smith in Week 7, giving Bijan one snap and giving no heads up to anyone in the NFL community, saying that Bijan's not gonna play really today. That pissed off a
The
lot of
point.
managers, pissed off a lot of fantasy, just people in
Yeah,
general. You had him,
I know.
so he's
It's to the
fired.
point where
But
they got investigated.
yeah,
I fell into investigate. Oh my god, that guy's an idiot. I can't believe it.
all right,
He got another job.
this one should be quick. Rookie of the year.
Yeah, I feel bad for Puka because most any year he's probably, getting this one. But CJ Stroud, unbelievable season, super deserving.
Yep, agreed. CJ Stroud, coach of the year.
And I'm going to Miko Ryans. I thought what he did was unbelievable with that team. Such a young team, and yeah, nobody really expected it at all.
Um, I do think D'Amico Ryans is a great answer, but Andy Reid just won the Super Bowl with a Chiefs team that was expected to be not good and was bad throughout the entire year. So what he just did in the playoffs, winning against those four teams on the road, how could you not? I mean, he had his team prepared in the Super Bowl, like Andy Reid, coach of the year. All right. Last segment of the show. These are our next season bold predictions. What do you have?
So I've got a few. I was going through it, looking at it, and I kind of like a bold prediction of Green Bay winning the NFC next year. I am just super, super high on Green Bay. I love how they finished out the season.
Like getting in the Super Bowl?
I'm talking. Yes, I am
Okay.
talking about winning the NFC and getting to the Super Bowl. Yes,
Interesting.
it's
Nice.
it's a bold prediction, and
That's what we're doing.
I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying that is a very, very real possibility. I've been loving what I'm seeing. Green Bay under LaFleur always seems to kind of like, I feel like they get on heaters maybe late in the year or something, and I don't know. Whatever they were doing at the end of the year, if they just build on that, this team can be a force to be reckoned with.
All right. You got any more or no?
Yeah, I think the Jags missed the playoffs again.
I
Um,
almost wrote that down and I didn't.
yeah,
But I had a
I
weird feeling
think
about that too.
this was supposed to be a free year for them with that division being a mess, and all of a sudden now the division looks like maybe it'll be okay. Minus, Titans probably are going to be quite bad, but uh, I just I don't know. Something's like off there. I know they scapegoated like the DC and some of the stuff there. I think their offensive coordinator maybe had some issues as well. Like, he's still gonna be there. Uh, I have some issues with that team with some of the things they've got. I've got Josh Allen leaving. I've got I could see that happening again. They have a good quarterback and they have some good players, but yeah. And then my final one, it's not super bold, but I've got the Panthers winning 3 games next year, an improvement on this year. And they will be having the number 1 pick and hopefully not trading that between now and then. And they will be picking first in the draft next year.
Yeah,
So,
I like
yeah.
that too. All right. These are my bold predictions for next year. We will have a Super Bowl rematch in New Orleans.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 2, Dallas will win less than 10 games next year and melt down. I think we saw some stuff at the end of the season between a lot of players and families online. They've gone 12 wins in 3 straight seasons. I think next year is the meltdown, chaos, break everything up year.
You think like McCarthy getting fired like mid-season sort of thing?
Late season, yeah. Like
Okay.
there's just a meltdown. CD Lamb starts
Okay.
going off. That like players yelling on the sidelines, and
I like this.
we
Okay.
just yeah. And then my last bold prediction is the Chargers will win at least 1 playoff game next year.
Wow. Okay. Big Harbaugh
Yep.
guy. I like it.
Yep. So, I mean, I was looking through the NFL teams, and every single team in the NFL has something to be hopeful for next year, to have some positive thoughts, except for 2 teams.
The
The-
Carolina Panthers.
Yes. And the New York
And
Giants.
yeah, okay.
If you are not the
I
New
can
York
see.
Giants or the Carolina Panthers, you have a chance at getting into the playoffs and playing well and being hopeful next year. Am I wrong?
Ooh,
Every team. Like, the Bears have Caleb Williams coming. Washington has
yeah,
Drake May coming. The Patriots, unless they do something, have Jaden Daniels coming. Arizona's gonna have Kyler Murray and who's that wide receiver from Ohio State? But like every
no,
team,
Marvin Harrison. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, every team, unless you're Carolina or Daniel Jones and the Giants, has hope next year. So that's why the NFL is great. 30 teams can win it all. So yeah, I'm excited for next year. I'm excited for fantasy to start up again. I know we're a long ways away, but
yeah.
yeah, it was a great first season. We'll be back in a little bit to do some combine draft stuff, but we
Hmm.
are going to go silent for about a month or so. Give ourselves a little break from the season, and we'll
Oh,
announce
yeah.
when we will be back on. We'll be doing the same type of stuff. But if you joined us this year on the Screenplay Podcast, we appreciate you guys. First year grew a lot, went from 0 to where we're at now. So it was fun, and we really appreciate you guys. And we'll be back soon to do some more. What do you got, Andrew?
Yeah. Man, this has been so fun. This is, obviously our first year doing this. It has been a really amazing experience. I've had so much fun doing this, and uh, yeah, it's been a fun year. So, not a whole lot else to say other than um, I'm glad I chose to do this, and I'm glad we're doing this, and it'll be nice to have a little bit of off season now.
Yeah, we'll get some new stuff going for next year. If you guys have anything at all, what you liked, what you disliked, if you want to hear more of something, less of something, shoot us a DM, tell us, let us know. We want to make this show as best as we can for you guys, give you guys the best content week in and week out. So don't be afraid to let us know. Yeah, had a lot of fun, and we'll be back soon doing it again with some new stuff. Hopefully get some merch soon. And get some new stuff going. But yeah, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at screenplay_podcast. Follow Andrew Novak on the PGA Tour. He's got a long season just started, so we'll root him on, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all maybe next month.
All right. Appreciate it.